The wide receiver prospects in the 2021 NFL Draft are a talented and diverse group, and there are 3 that have a real shot to go in the top 10, depending on how the draft shakes out at the top. The last we saw of Jamar Chase, he was shredding Clemson's secondary in the national championship game in January of 2020. In 14 games as a sophomore, he put up a ridiculous 1,780 yards receiving and 20 trips to the end zone. He would opt out of the 2020 season, but that decision clearly hasn't affected his draft stock. There's Heisman Trophy winner Devonta Smith, who became the first wideout to win the award in nearly 3 decades. Yes, he might be a little slim, but he plays like a giant. Just ask Ohio State.
Mack straight drop. Mack looks long. Mack finds Devonta behind the defense. He is in for a touchdown. Thank you, Mr. Heisman.
How about his teammate in Jaylen Waddle, a speed demon who's been described as a chess piece you can line up all over the field. Get him the ball and good things will happen. And when he runs his 40, you're going to want to pay attention. Other potential first-rounders include Kadarius Toney of Florida, Rondale Moore out of Purdue, and Rashad Bateman of Minnesota, who are all very talented in their own right. Collectively, this talent-rich positional group is one to keep an eye on starting on April 29th.
Yes, what a wide receiver class we have coming up for the 2021 NFL Draft. Some guys who are going to be able to make impacts for years to come. And, of course, it's topped by Jamar Chase. As mentioned in the piece there by Brandon, he opted out of the 2020 season, but that has not hurt his draft stock. Jaylen Waddle, I mean, people are going to be tuning in just to watch him run the 40. Forget about where he goes. I want to see his 40 time. Devonta Smith, of course, a Heisman champion. Rondale Moore and Kadarius Toney are rounding out the top 5. And for more on the receiving class, let's now welcome back Ryan Wilson and Emory Hunt. Let's start with Jamar Chase, expected to be the first wide receiver off the board despite the fact he didn't play a game last season, Ryan. You and Pete have him joining Tua in Miami. What does he bring to a team like the Dolphins?
Yeah, Jeremy, we'll see if he goes that high. And I don't say that as a slight against Jamar Chase. Just a lot of times these wide receivers get pushed down as teams are trading up for quarterbacks and offensive tackles. But should he end up in Miami, I would imagine Tua Tagovailoa is excited beyond belief because he has a legit playmaker at all 3 levels. You see Jamar Chase, and he's not going to run a 4.3. He's not going to run like Jaylen Waddle, but he might be faster than you think when he times, but he plays fast. He reminds me of Anquan Bolden in terms of his physicality, but with a little more juice. He can get open in any number of ways. He's great at the top of his route. He's great getting off the line of scrimmage. He's incredibly physical off the line of scrimmage and at the catch point, and he terrorized SEC cornerbacks all year long in 2019. And if you can beat SEC quarterbacks, there's a good chance you're going to have success on Sundays in the NFL. He was the best player on that team that also included Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. Jefferson had 1,400 yards as a rookie last season for the Vikings. I expect Jamar Chase to have that type of impact when he gets to the NFL.
Yeah, he also was lighting up A.J. Terrell, who's an outstanding corner, had a great rookie year with the Atlanta Falcons in that championship game. And I agree with Ryan. This is a guy that's a true talent at the position. To me, he's a stack and track guy. So he's going to get on top of that corner. He's going to pull away, and he's playing with so much calm and so much confidence that the game slows down for him on the field. You can see that at the catch point. So he's tremendous. He's a true number 1 out there at the position. I think he's going to hit the ground running as a rookie.
One of the phrases I love the most that you use, Ryan, is the fact that he plays fast. To take a guy who plays fast versus a guy who runs fast in the 40. But a guy who runs fast in the 40 is good, too. And when it comes to that, we're talking about Jaylen Waddle. Ryan, you're the only guy in the latest set of mocks that doesn't have Waddle going to join the Philadelphia Eagles. You haven't fallen all the way to the Giants. Giants fans will be happy if that does play out. Emory, Waddle was the guy at Bama, and then he wasn't. Does he enter the league with a chip on his shoulder?
I think so, and it's unfortunate we saw him play injured in that championship game because we remember him having that Joey Galloway speed, that Rocket Ishmael-like explosiveness, and that's who I would say that's a guy who compares favorably to those 2 talents. And when you look at his speed, it makes no sense. His acceleration is elite. His re-acceleration is even more elite. And when you have those 2 elements and you pair him up in a short, quick passing game, that's a lot of touchdowns, a lot of big plays. He's going to be a chunk playmaker at the next level.
Yeah, Emory talked about the specifics of the speed that Waddle has. I like Waddle better than Henry Ruggs. And Henry Ruggs was the first wide receiver drafted last year, ran a 4.27, I believe it was, at the combine. Waddle may be a hair slower than that. I do not care. He has run away from guys all day long, slants, goes, posts, corner. It doesn't matter. You cannot cover him. And look, he may very well be the second wide receiver drafted. I don't think he's going to surpass Jamar Chase. I'm fine with that. I love Devonta Smith, but it's hard not to like Jaylen Waddle as well. Emory talked about it was sort of upsetting to see him injured in that championship game. The funny thing is, Jaylen Waddle was still the fastest player on the team, and he was limping. That tells you how fast Jaylen Waddle is. I can't wait to see where he ends up and how he exposes NFL secondaries next year.
Well, the guy who was the guy who won the Heisman, Devonta Smith, 24 touchdowns. Ryan, you have him dropping in the first round, but the other mockers all have him going to the Detroit Lions. So, Ryan, I got to ask you, why the hate for Smith in your latest mock?
I know, right? He goes 15th overall. Devonta Smith is one of my favorite players, and I'm upset that he weighs 170. I wish if he weighed 190, he probably be the first wide receiver off the board, in part because he's really, really good, but also because he played in 2020 and Jamar Chase didn't. And that's the big concern, the durability issues. He looks frail out there, but he plays like a grown man. The funny thing is about those durability issues, Jeremy, is that he wasn't hurt at Alabama. He had a couple of soft tissue injuries, but nothing that would concern you based on the fact that he's so skinny. So can he gain 10, 15 pounds? I don't know. I don't know if it matters given the way he plays, but he's a grown man out there, and he was taking over games where they knew they had to double team him, and it did not matter. He found ways to get open and then terrorize defenses, did it all season long with those skinny legs. And I think at the end of the day, he's very easily going to be a top 15 pick, and maybe he goes higher than that, depending on how the draft board falls above him.
Yeah, I don't care. He's built like a lowercase L. I want him on my football team. This dude is outstanding from a route running perspective. That was an area where he got better this year, and we know the speed. We saw him do that all throughout his career, but we saw him really take the top off of defense, going deep down the field. We saw him showcase some agility by returning punts, which is outstanding. And again, we saw Marvin Harrison dominating. He was built like a capital I. So it doesn't matter how big you are. None of these guys got injured. None of these guys got hurt. And Smith was someone that's skinny strong. Like, he looks slim, but he's beating guys off the press. He's strong at the catch point, and he's able to run through contact. So I'm not worried about his weight. I love the fact that he was able to add nuance to his game this season, which is why he was out there winning the Heisman Trophy in the process.
You can bet the team that drafts him is going to be telling him to eat some cheeseburgers as he gets ready for the upcoming season. Ryan, you've got a great article over on CBSSports.com, a buyer beware article, and Rondale Moore is on that list. What do we need to beware of?
On the field, man, he is dynamic. He is so much fun, and teams are going to fall in love with what they see. The issue is he only played 7 games the last 2 seasons. He's 5'9", about 180, but he doesn't play like he's 5'9". He plays much bigger than that. He is an absolute bowling ball. You can't tackle him. He sheds tackles like he's a running back. He's incredibly fast. Social media had a few weeks ago him doing his 42-inch vertical. That certainly gets your attention. But the problem is this: at that size, at 5'9", running a sub 4.4, having that kind of crazy vertical, one name pops up over the last 20 years that has success in the NFL, and his name's Steve Smith, Carolina Panthers and Baltimore Ravens. If you get Steve Smith, that's a home run. If you get something less than that, that's a concern. I mean, we were talking about Devonta Smith and the physical concerns. You don't have those concerns with Rondale Moore, but Devonta Smith is a much safer pick because of much more tape of what he's been able to do. So you're projecting with Rondale Moore because of those 7 games, but the 7 games he played, including that Ohio State in 2018 as a freshman, got your attention and absolutely blew your mind about how special he has a chance to be.
The book seems to be out on Kadarius Toney when it comes to our analysts. Some have him as a first-round talent, as high as 15th in one mock draft that I saw. Others, like Ryan, don't even have him taken in the first round. Emory, where are you at on Kadarius Toney?
I love his game. I would have him as my 3rd flanker. I tend to break it down from split ends, flankers, inside, and slot receivers. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Brown and how he's able to do things after the catch. His post-reception play is outstanding. We saw a lot of that this year. So he's someone that you can throw a short pass to and he'll take it a long way. I think he still is taking the right steps forward in his trajectory. So I like him as a talent. I do think you want to see a little bit more consistency. At times he gets too enamored with making guys miss. I mean, if you had that ability, you probably would want to make guys miss, but I think he has to be a little bit more consistent, find that flat line to his game. We saw a little bit of that this year, which is why you saw the amount of plays he made out there for Florida.
And you see Toney, 70 receptions, 3rd in the SEC, and 10 receiving touchdowns for them as well. Okay, Minnesota's Rashad Bateman, a late first-round guy, or, it could be a second-round guy, depending on who you ask. Ryan, what's the book on Bateman?
The funny thing is, you turn on the tape in 2019 because you're watching Tyler Johnson, who was drafted on day 3 by the Buccaneers, and Rashad Bateman keeps popping up number 13 because he's making plays all over the field, no matter the route he's running, short, intermediate, or deep. And then he comes back in 2020, and he doesn't have quite the juice it looked like on tape that he had in 2019. He still does a lot of things really well. He looked to be a little bit slender. I don't know if that's a function of changing from 13 to 0, or he lost some weight. Sometimes I feel like he struggles with separation, but he's a really good player, has really good hands, is always making plays. He's sort of a miniaturized version of Jamar Chase, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He's just not quite that physical. He doesn't have quite that separation, but he does a lot of those same things really well. I think he's going to be an early day 2 pick for me. I know some teams like him late in the first round, but I think if he goes early in the second round, that's just about where he should go, and he helps you immediately as a number 2 or number 3 guy.
Yeah, depending on whose mock you're looking at, you can see him go late on day 1. Okay, let's talk about some sleeper picks here. Emory, I'll come to you first. Who's your sleeper pick in terms of the wide receivers in this draft?
Mike Strachan of Charleston University, or University of Charleston, which is in West Virginia, D2 program that has quietly produced 4 to 5 NFL prospects in the last 3 years, and he's going to be the latest one. He's 6'5", 225. You talk about someone that plays big, understands he's big, and also does a great job of winning at the line of scrimmage. So he has great footwork, has the leaping ability. He's a 50-50 guy, above the rim player all day long. Keep an eye out for Mike Strachan, Division II player from Charleston.
Jeremy, with Cornell Powell out of Clemson, and that's obviously a very big school and a big program. Last year, he sort of fell off the map in 2019 because he's playing behind guys like T. Higgins and Justin Ross, but he had a coming out party in 2020, went from 15 catches in 2019 to 8.1 yards per catch to 53 catches, 7 touchdowns, doubled his yard per catch to 16.6. If you want to get an idea of who Cornell Powell is, go watch that game against Ohio State. He absolutely turned Shaun Wade into a pretzel numerous times in that game. He came onto people's radar late in the season. I think he has a chance to be a late day 2 pick, a 3rd round guy. He is older. He's going to turn 24 during the course of the NFL season, but he gets open. He makes plays. He's physical. He's a number 2 or number 3 guy that can help your team right away.
And older is not necessarily bad, maybe a little bit more mature, which is something that certainly helps when you transition to the program.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.